Not too bad of a turnout. Not that many people. Think about it. 30,000 people. This is all that's here. And it's all our friends in the front. And luckily, we can't see the signs, so. Just wait to get Mike all set. He's still, Mike, just waiting for Mike. One minute. Speak loud. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the special meeting of the East Haven Town Council. I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Chairman Deco. May I have a roll call, please, Roberta?
Ashley Lesko. Here. Beth Capitordo. Here. Kimberly Glassman. Here. Joseph Deco.
Here.
Karen Martin. Here. Joseph Santino. Josh Walter. Here. Marianne Caesar. Here. Louis Pacelli. Here. Michael Giannetti. Here. Samantha Parlato. Here. Sue Stacy. Here. Albert Volano. Here. Raymond Pompano. Jennifer Ruggiero. 12 present, no quorum.
Thank you, Roberta. May I ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Vice Chair Pacelli, item 1.
Item number 1, to receive the Honorable Mayor Joseph A. Carfora State of the Town Address and the Honorable Mayor Joseph A. Carfora's budget presentation.
Thank you. There's no action necessary. At this time, I'd ask the council members to please take your seats in the front row. Vice Chair Pacelli and I are going to stay on the stage, and at this time, it's my honor to introduce Mayor Joseph A. Carfora.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome, everyone. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Town Council, our newly elected Town Clerk, Lisa Balter, members of the Board of Education, the Board of Education Chair, Superintendent of Schools, Erica Forty, all members of the Board of Finance, our town department heads, town employees, and of course the taxpayers of the town of East Haven. And I also want to thank those who serve and volunteer on our boards and commissions. They are an integral part of the engine that runs this town. It is my honor to be your mayor and to lead our cherished hometown. As always, I want to first take the time to thank our first responders and their families. They have difficult jobs, and in today's society, they are becoming more so. Our thoughts and prayers are always with them. It is my continued commitment to always provide them with the tools to perform their jobs so that they can protect us, but most importantly, they can return home safely to their families. I stand before you this evening for the third time as your mayor to deliver the mandatory state of our town and budget address. In past addresses, I've had to bring you some not so positive news about our town's finances, its infrastructure, and of course, COVID-19. In my first budget address, I talked to you about the deplorable conditions that we inherited financially and throughout our town and recreational facilities also. My second address was given while we were still in the storm of a worldwide pandemic, and also reporting 2 significant budget deficits from my predecessor. But if you recall, I spoke straight talk and presented truthful plans to move our town forward. And remember what I said together, we marched on. Well, we have, and we continue to do so. My team has presented, but also followed through on plans that are responsible in their development and realistic in their goals and calculated in their execution. This budget plan, which was unanimously approved by the Board of Finance, is no different. And what has and is occurring is a change, a willingness to lead with responsibility, a will to make the tough and calculated decisions, and the fortitude to not succumb to petty, politically motivated pessimists. Leaders lead, and do so with conviction. I, along with my team, and your help, have made thoughtful decisions. Decisions that will prepare our town for the future. And I ask for your commitment in continuing our course. Even though we might not always agree in complete detail, we must stand together in our values so that we can advance the best that this wonderful community has to offer. The first Carfora administration budget ended in a certified audit surplus of $2.8 million, and that was for our 2021 fiscal year budget. Our first decisions were difficult but necessary. That audit provided us with a stamp of approval, and I personally cannot thank Finance Director Jim Keeley enough. Jim and I are attached at the hip, and we meet multiple times weekly, and his direction and input are essential and valued, and one of the main reasons that we are on the road to a solid financial stability. And we expect positive results from our current 21-22 fiscal year budget that will be closing this coming June. And what am I presenting you this evening is similar in its thorough, calculated, truthful, and detailed content. It funds our most important services at responsible levels. It funds education and police and fire and recreation, IT, infrastructure, and town beautifications at levels never before seen. As we move through this presentation, there is a PowerPoint slide review that highlights our goals and accomplishments. Our town clerk, Lisa Balter, she's our new town clerk, and she reports that the transition in her clerk's office has been smooth and credits the current staff, with the support they have shown. And Lisa has been focused on moving forward and continuing to improve services to the community and maintain preservation of town records. The 2021 state grant, it was a project that preserved, scanned, and indexing military discharge documents that was completed this month and dating from 1918 to present. A new shelving to assist the proper storage of archival paper and supplies will soon be installed and paid for with town clerk funds. She is currently working on updating the clerk's page of the website to add more information online for residents looking into systems to streamline the process of managing boards and commissions. And she's looking into new merchant providers to decrease our credit card processing costs to the town and submitting her grant request for scanning and indexing land records dating back to 1950, all to improve full title search abilities for all. This project will be undertaken with state library grant funds at no cost to the taxpayers. Our police department is led by Chief Edward Lennon. Our police department is one of the finest in the state. In December of 2020, the Washington Post had recognized our department as a role model for the United States, along with the New York Times in 2021, honored them with the same distinction. And we continue to fund it at levels that ensure our officers has the tools to do their jobs and return home safely. And this includes from training to equipment, and they need our support. We have hired and trained 9 new officers, fully implemented a school resource officer SRO program to both the high school and middle school. Our department has assigned an officer full-time to address summer beach issues, as well as worked incredibly hard to implement a new parking program to improve the quality of life issues throughout the town, especially at the shoreline. Our officers should and will always have the vital and appropriate firearms to do their jobs. And to meet that standard, we have purchased new firearms to replace a 10-year-old firearm. This new equipment will be issued and training started in the coming weeks. Similarly, we purchased active shooter kits, and they will be arriving soon and will be placed in every vehicle. And something that I am so very pleased with, because this is something that we promised from the beginning, this department hunts down grants. And the department has applied for and received grants in excess of $70,000. And that takes efforts. I do not want to forget to thank Chairman Deco and the East Haven Memorial Funeral Home and all those who work so hard to make sure that all of our canines have received the recognition that they deserve and earned with the new canine monument. And we look forward to a spring ceremony for that. Finally, on behalf of the town of East Haven, my heartfelt appreciation to the entire department. Because while we sleep, they work to protect us. And last year, they responded to almost 30,000 calls of service. So I want to personally thank Chief Edward Lennon. Our fire department, led by Chief Matthew Marcarelli, along with our police department, Our fire department is at the top of any list. In this department, we have hired and trained 7 new firefighters. And we also promoted an assistant chief, a fire marshal, a training officer, and a captain. Engine 5 in Foxen has been totally refurbished. For safety and protection, we installed a specialized fire gear dryers at all the fire stations, which will aid in proper laundering of firefighter PPE. Man, that was a tongue twister. Reducing the risk of occupational cancer. And no department has made more commitment to hunting grants than Chief Matt Marcarelli. And most recently, including a $136,000 assistance to firefighters grant for thermal imaging cameras for all departments. Chief Marcarelli has surpassed $1 million in hunting down grants for our town, so he deserves a round of applause. Public Works. Our Public Works Department is led by Superintendent Charlie Coyle. Our Public Works Department continues to be a model organization. Our department has committed and skilled workers, and their ability to do more work in-house saves us money, and it allows us to plan not only for new projects, but to also put together longer-term maintenance plans for all areas of towns. Also, through grants and responsible budgeting, we are rebuilding our fleet of equipment. Our slides outline what we have done and what some of our plans are. Right now, we are in the process of purchasing 2 new pieces of equipment so our workers can clean and maintain the Farm River and Tuttle Brook that drains into our lovely Long Island Sound. Our Public Works Department never had the proper equipment to perform this necessary task, which also has environmental impacts. And we have an incredible group of talented workers, which allows us to do so much in-house. It saves us money, and these projects are completed with a sense of pride. So I want to personally thank Charlie Coyle. ARPA funding. So we are receiving $8.4 million in total. $4.2 million came this past summer. And this summer, an additional $4.2 million is coming. And it must be spent by 2026 or we will lose it. And this money cannot be used for legal settlements or paying down of debt or lowering the mill rate. Our goal is to use these funds for effective, longer-term assets to benefit generations to come. And we put a protective process from the very beginning to allocate these funds, a process that protects our town, and one that requires approval of expenditures through a professional national consultant and paid for by the grant itself. You will not see our community caught up in the controversy of whether we are using these funds inappropriately for projects. The federal regulations are overwhelming and they are always changing. And we, along with North Haven and other communities, felt that this was the most responsible way to protect the use of this money and to protect our community from future federal audits of these funds. And they are being used for great projects, from our town green to park refurbishing, and we're allowed to enhance our buildings, our IT infrastructure, and overall community. And while my administration worked hand in hand with the consultants to vet projects for approval, we also need to be sure that any of these use of funds would not create an added expense to the town in the future. Our senior center is led by Bob Petroselli. I am so proud of the program and expansion and the continuing development of our senior center. Bob continues to do great work and does a great job. The East Haven The East Haven Senior Center was selected to receive a cash grant from the Connecticut DOT for a second senior center bus. And this bus will primarily be utilized to transport seniors to area medical appointments, prescription pickups, tests, and to and from the center. And we anticipate receiving this bus in early 2023 and then starting all of these services. Our recreation department is led by Liz Franco-Spano. And we are reevaluating our entire recreation department. New programs, new heights, new expectations. This is a new time in this department. And the energy and level of commitment by Liz Franco, our wonderful new recreation director, brings all this breathtaking ideas. Liz and I are working hand in hand to grow our recreation department. From smaller programs like yoga, pickleball, arts and crafts to long-term planning. This department will be a shining star for our community. And along with our Public Works Department, we will be undertaking a comprehensive overhaul of all our parks and fields with the use of federal and state grants that will start immediately. ARPA funding will be used to fund most of these improvements. Our recreation director.
You'll have your time to speak in public, I promise. Just not tonight. Please stop interrupting the mayor. Thank you.
Our recreation director was given the task on day one to assess all the town's fields and playgrounds. And Liz, a 36-year physical education and recreation teacher, and Charlie Coyle, our superintendent of public works, visited all the recreation facilities together, evaluated the current equipment and grounds, and the results were clear. Many of the playgrounds needed significant overhaul due to deterioration and lack of maintenance over the years. And we plan on moving Michael Street Park, we plan on improving Michael Street Park and Memorial Field, Massachusetts Street Park, Warwick Street Park, and Deer Run Field and the Pitt and Memorgwin Fields. However, when they arrived at the skate park, it was very evident that all the effort to maintain this space was not working. The skate park ramps are covered in graffiti and often profanity and racial slurs. And the grounds were often found littered with liquor bottles, drug paraphernalia such as hypodermic needles, and evidence of sexual activity. The town had put in measures to stop these illegal behaviors, such as fencing, a keypad for access, and ample signage. But those who wanted access gained it by cutting the fence multiple times. And these actions caused a grave safety concern for the visitors, students in the nearby schools, and the neighborhood. And Liz called around to neighboring towns inquiring about their skate parks. And what she found was these towns also face similar issues and removed their skate parks as well. The park was often utilized by out-of-towners. Did you know that our skate park was the only one in the state with lights? Did you know that on one or more occasion there have been parties held there? And one that was recently held a couple weekends ago, there were at least 30 people from Norwalk hosting a skate party. And we know this because Liz spoke to them directly. It goes without saying that activities like these create a huge liability. And did you also know that a majority of those voicing their opposition are not even East Haven residents? I know this because our beloved recreation director has received multiple threats of harm, even death against herself, her family, and her pets, which is sickening. I know the residents.
I'm going to stop you. Please, this is the second time I'm asking you. You guys are out of order. We promise you will have plenty of time to to speak in public at the town council meeting. You'll be able to speak at Parks and Rec. I promise. Please just stop interrupting the mayor. You have plenty of time. This is the second time. Thank you so much. If you continue to interrupt the meeting, you will be removed. Okay? Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Our plan for this space will certainly be inclusive, safe, family-oriented, and a welcome addition to our recreation offerings in East Haven. Our skate rink, an asset to our recreation department and sense of pride for our community. Another systematic approach to creating a facility that we can again be very proud of. The degradation of a facility through wear and tear and because of a lack of scheduled maintenance over the years leads to the need to close it. And that's unfortunate. And we saw that with our rink and our pool. And bringing the rink project like this does not happen quickly. But again, through thoughtful and responsible planning, we are on our way to having this building up and running. Our bids have been opened, the work has begun, the dasher boards are being removed, and chillers are being removed. Our design build group is SLAM, and they are one of the premier rink design groups in the country. It has been a pleasure dealing with them and their professional team, and we are looking forward for a grand reopening this fall. The East Haven Animal Shelter. Our department is led by Owen Little. Its mission statement says, strive to enforce all animal control laws and to serve the community in a professional manner, ensure that all animals and residents are treated with respect at all times. Owen Little, Sean Goodjohn, and Emily Higgins do just that. They work so hard every day to make this shelter a special place. Owen's reputation throughout the state is something for our community to be proud of. He is waiting to take delivery of a much-needed van, which was procured through grant and donated funds. Also, upgrades are currently underway at the shelter. Hageman Memorial Library. Our library is a beautiful facility which is the highlight of Main Street. It is an asset that serves young and old alike with an impressive array of programs, and it will be receiving a new roof through a state grant program. Bruce and his staff are doing a wonderful job. IT, informational technology. Our town's technology was dangerously and irresponsibly behind the times. East Haven is a $100 million corporation, and we need an IT structure that adequately protects our users, our information, and one that affords our employees the best opportunity to do their jobs, which is to service our taxpayers. From upgrades to our phone system to greater online accessibility, a new town website, and abilities for remote access by our employees when needed, and also cybersecurity. This is an area that cannot be compromised, and it is always evolving daily. Our beach permit system, another well thought out and strategically planned program. Some were frustrated and claimed that we were taking too long. Again, a problem that is created over decades and left to fester for almost as much time isn't solved overnight. But again, by bringing the right people together and fully evaluating the problem, initial reviews of the system seemed very positive. This will be our second season with our permitting system, and we look forward to working with the residents and making it even better this year. We have a beautiful beach area which we want everyone to enjoy, but we also must be fair to the residents who live near and around our shore. We did numerous renovations and upgrades to our beach area and look forward to our community enjoying our beautiful shoreline for many years to come. Revaluation. Property values increased greatly over the last few years. Our revaluation is complete, and it confirmed that housing values are up, like those across the state and the region. Revaluation is mandated by our state. While increased value in our homes is overall a good thing for those who own, as leaders, we have the responsibility to make sure that such value increases do not crush a hard-working family's pocketbook. So I am recommending lowering the mill rate to offset as much of that increased value as we can, so your tax burden is limited. My recommendation is to lower the mill rate, almost 3 full mills, to 31.30. This is a very challenging formula for all Connecticut municipalities. With that said, I can easily say that most municipal leaders are calling for property tax restructuring and relief at the state level, and I am no different. Something needs to be done to relax the burden for local taxpayers. I will continue to lobby our state leaders for fair and equitable overhaul of the Connecticut property tax system. I look forward to continuing to work with our elected officials on behalf of our residents. DC Moore, the town still owns this property. It has not been transferred. I have been told and now expect that the potential bid winner intends to sue the town to enforce the August 2019 Material Administration Ordinance. Should this occur, our legal staff will be coming to you and speak about procedures and updates. Our tax department. Our tax collector, Anna Delarosso, has done a fantastic job. The collection has been extremely strong. She is firm but fair, and while doing her job with compassion during these unique times. Thank you, Anna. Tweed New Haven Airport. From the beginning, I have approached this project with great care and paid it every bit of the attention that it requires and demands. I have not, as others have, made this political, and I never will. Tweed New Haven Airport Terminal, East Haven, formerly known as Terminal Alternative 3, East Side Terminal, is the most transformative project in our town's history. From a business standpoint, this move works for some, but my view has to be broader than that, and it is. From attending the public hearings, having staff in important briefings and meetings that we have been, and to continue to be wholly engaged, I personally have had multiple meetings, phone calls, and briefings regarding Tweed on issues from traffic to public safety. Our legal, police, fire, public works, and engineering leaders have had meetings to ask specific questions, and when necessary, requested additional and supplemental data. This administration is handling Tweed as I have everything else. Infrastructure evaluation to budgeting to our extremely coordinated COVID responses. From the start of my administration, we are consistent, deliberate, and thorough. With each decision and project and each step, we determine what is best for our community long term. And Tweed Terminal expansion to East Haven is no different. I am quite sure that my decision will disappoint some and even create discord with some very influential people. That is not my concern. And if there is one thing that I have proven as your mayor and as the leader of this community, is that I am no shrinking violet, nor will I back down from a tough decision. And there may be some ramifications as a result of my decision, including that they may try to force this upon us. As mayor of this community, there are things that I can control with respect to Tweed, and some things that I cannot. The runway lengthening, more flight decisions are things that I cannot control. As we all can see, those things are happening. Avello is moving forward with its plans to offer more flights to more destinations. But those business decisions are made outside of my input and are distinctly different pronouncements than Tweed terminal expansion to the East Haven side. The terminal expansion to the East Haven side is the acceptance of the $70 million terminal to our community, which is one of three options in the master plan. Frankly, the option that powers that be seen to feel fits best for Tweed and the region. The Avports, Avellos, and the City of New Haven's business model is surely driven by the needs for flights to desirable destinations. New Haven, Yale, and the regions will benefit enormously from this potential impact, and that is clear. And we as a community do not benefit economically as they will, and that is clear. My concerns cannot be what fits best for Tweed, New Haven, Yale, or the region. Each stakeholder is making decisions based upon what they believe is in their best interest. And collectively, some undoubtedly have a common interest, and I understand that. But East Haven is also a stakeholder, and our interests simply do not share similar commonality. I have a duty to protect our community, and my concern is that the burden to East Haven that this terminal will bring with traffic, flooding, environmental, public safety, operational costs, and capital necessities are monumental, and they far outweigh any direct limited economic benefit that East Haven will gain. I want to make one thing clear. There is no tax revenue for East Haven, but the burdens are vast with potential irreparable impacts. Our beach community will be impacted by traffic, and we inherited a poorly designed and continuing flooding quagmire at the intersection of Hemingway and Short Beach Road. A design fix that was created by agents of the previous administration, but shut down by the state of Connecticut because from the beginning in 2016 and 17, it wasn't going to work. And Jonathan Bodwell, our town engineer, continues in attempts to get answers. And we are working hard to get additional funding to clean up this mess. That intersection is not passable on too many occasions. Our wonderful town green and the events that are historically held there will be impacted. Traffic will flow down Hemingway onto Main Street. For 30 years, we have closed parts of Hemingway Avenue for the events leading to and around our fall festival. That would no longer be possible. The burdens on our police, fire, and dispatch will grow tremendously. And there is a position that more flights and additional operations translate into additional jobs. And to the extent that East Haven residents will be hired is a positive thing. As I have said, that business travel is important to the region, and so is the convenience of flights to desirable vacation and family destinations. That is not my decision. As indicated, I have no input into that. and New Haven is the great beneficiary in this operation. Listen to this. The pilot program that was offered to New Haven, which stands for Payments in Lieu of Taxes, their pilot money will increase by $50 million each year over the next 3 years. Our pilot money was flatlined at $462,000 for the next 3 years, each year for the next 3 years. So you heard that correctly. I am not saying that this is related to Tweed, but I do have concerns about inequity and where does it stop. I have been cordial in inviting from the very beginning regarding the evaluation of this project. I have been willing to listen, but one thing has been crystal clear and consistent. I have always said that this project will not be placed on the backs of the town of East Haven, and it is clear that the burdens will. That is why I am announcing tonight that at this point, I cannot support nor can I recommend to our town council that we accept and support the terminal expansion move to the East Haven side. The burdens are too great, and the impact at this time on our community are simply too transformative. And those who benefit should shoulder more burdens, not just the town of East Haven. I will be formally presenting a letter to the Tweed Authority in the coming days. We have to look out for the interests of our shoreline community and the burdens that this terminal, as proposed, will take place on us are simply too great. In closing, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to acknowledge our department heads and my staff for their hard work on this budget. And without a doubt, we have the finance director in the area. Jim is thorough and extremely organized, but also a pleasure to work with. I'd like to thank the members of the Board of Finance for their service. Like you, they give their time to this community to make it better. So, Mr. Chairman, I have completed my presentation and turned the budget over to the council. Good luck and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. And a second. So moved. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much. The first regular meeting in April, you can come to the town council. Otherwise, you can speak to the Park and Rec Commission.